Hello, Wake Up New Zealand, Carol Saker speaking. Well, I came across this bit of research, and it was from 13th of April 2022, Family Planning Organisation. I found it through the Minister of Education, March 2023, for educators and school staff teaching RSE. And the Family Planning Organisations New Zealand say they fully support high quality teaching and safe RSE, relationship sexual education, sexuality education. And they actually they support it in so much as even supplying resources for RSE from levels 1 to 10. So the sources of information included through the Minister of Education, investigating messages surrounding relationships, sexuality, do or do not, whether they meet the needs of young people, identify and describe a range of strategies for changing conversation around sexuality and pornography. Investigate how ideas and assumptions about porn may influence behaviour and relationships. Explore how pornography influences identity. Describe a range of strategies that can be used to manage uncomfortable feelings connected to seeing pornographic material. Develop skills for giving and receiving consent and negotiating intimately to enhance relationships. Analyze how representing of sex, sexuality, and relationship in pornography impact relationships. Analyze how representations of sex, sexuality, and relationship impact on identity with pornography. Analyze how beliefs, attitudes, practices around pornography influences choices using language and text to challenge the career around the influence of pornography on society. And again, they say, watch this video, and it's learning about pornography. And so I just copied the link to it, the transcript of the link. Kick out with the icebreaker to get young people laughing, to create a class, a group agreement, so everyone's relaxed and laughing and open to actually pass around confidential information. And that's what it says, so that they're easy to open up, relax them, make them laugh, so they will discuss their sexual desires. So, break the stigma and taboo, it says, that surrounds sexuality and pornography. First, ask about personal experiences. Draw on experiences of others wanting sexuality to be more than a biological and a risk. So more than biology and more than a risk. How pornography can influence this well-being and their relationship. So what they're actually saying here, we won't discuss biology. We won't discuss boy, girl, male, female. That goes beyond that. So fantasy and reality is mentioned here, investigating the reality of porn, exploring strategies. So I found myself revisiting some old child psychology books that I've got that I had some years ago when I was studying child psychology. So what I came up with about pornography, because it's mentioned so much here, was pornography actually harms children and teens. It takes away neutral pathways. The child's view on sex harms the quality of life, child's life. Pornography increases the risk of children harming other children by experimenting on what they are being taught. Further risks are targets of paedophiles. So children are set up so that they risk being target of paedophiles. Learning to walk. And this is about the brain, how the brain works. So we're talking about the prefrontal cortex here, where the brain develops from the back forwards. So the front is the last piece of the brain to develop. So when children start to learn to walk and talk and do the ABCs, say funny little nursery rhymes, and that's all their neutral pathway from here as they're maturing through life until they get to here, the prefrontal cortex, which is fully developed about mid-20s. So when they're learning all this stuff, their brain is very immature. So, and that is called neutral pathways. So that's the developing brain. The brain develops from back to front. And one of the last regions to develop is the prefrontal cortex. So that's a place in the brain that focuses on attention, predictions, consequences of actions, the impulse to control, imagining one's emotions, planning the future, conditional thinking. And it equates, the prefrontal cortex actually equates to the brakes, the braking of the system to stop things from happening that shouldn't be happening as things are developing. So the full braking system does not fully develop until the mid-20s. So there's no full braking system. So it's just a free flow of information in this neutral part of the brain until one gets to their mid-20s. So further research, I found it was estimated that 90% of children aged 8 to 16 have seen online pornography. As gender bodies are connected to the internet, behaviours have become habitual very quickly. Neurons in different regions of the brain comprise of a reward system. It communicates by using dopamines. This enhances reward-related memories and creates emotional associations with rewards. That's neurons. So it's not the rewards themselves, but it's the expectation of rewards that is the most powerful influence within the emotional memory and reactions in the brain at that stage. Simply putting, whatever feels good, the brain learns to love it, especially before the age of 16 because of the immaturity of the brain. So you've got oxytocin comes from the sexual pornography that hijacks the brain. So that's produced with pornography. When it hijacks the brain, it then produces oxytocin, then focuses the body's attention until climax. This produces serotonin, which creates desire. So serotonin creates desire, and dopamine then repeats the process all over again. And that's what happens. So during adolescence years, the brain operates deep neutral pathways, and they are called ruts that crave pornography. So pornography plays on the willingness to wait. This is what children struggle with. They struggle with being told they must wait. Most parents would have realised that children struggle when they're told they have to wait for something. So relationship and sexuality in school curriculum gives glorification of sex as a focal point of relationships. So sexual partners are objects of sexuality, and the young brain lacks a mature prefrontal cortex to actually deal with that, and there's no braking systems to stop the behaviours that come from that. So the consequence of behaviours by being taught this sexuality in school. So the Australian Institute did a paper on Let Children Be Children, saying that children were at high risk of possibly encouraging paedophile sexual desire, and there needs to be responsible government action. That's the only hope for parents to be supported. So parents that do their best to protect children may feel they're losing the battle. So the sexualization of children has become potential to harm children in a variety of ways. The children's development of a healthy body image, self-esteem, causing them stress and pressure, the feelings of discomfort to be part of the group, that in this learning, because it's group sessions, and of course more group sessions around sexualization and sexuality and relationships means less time on other subjects. So this is ideology replacing education. So more the degree that children focus on sexualization themselves rather than pursuing other more age-appropriate development activities. So that's affected. Family become affected. So the risks of normalizing and possibly encouraging pedophilia, sexual desire in children. So children portrayed as they're being portrayed as sexual agents. This is what's happening. And the sexualization in a public sphere is affecting not only girls, but also boys. Boys are being highly sexualized, and we've seen that happening like in the Posey Parker thing. But this aggressive sexualization, the cultural Marxism, and the aggressiveness that's coming through from this, young people believing that, if they change their clothes, about their breasts, they have puberty blockers, and they speak different pronouns, that then they become a female. A male becomes a female. Wrong, 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 wrong. You are being told lies, and so many people's lives are suffering. So many young people's lives are suffering. I hate to think what this abuse is doing to young people. We can't blame the children. We have to blame the government here in New Zealand because they've let UNESCO, UN, partnering with WEF, do this worldwide. UNESCO has taken the lead, UN has taken the lead on Global Education 2030. And this is what's happening. So, and you've got it's not just girls that are vulnerable, boys are vulnerable too. So, that old adage, it's the girls, no, it's the boys as well. So drag queen story time in libraries. Would you take your kids to an adult erotic sexual display in a cabaret in town? You wouldn't? Then why would you take them to drag queen erotic display in libraries? I just don't get that, because if you do that, you are part and parcel of the sexual abuse of your child. And you're in fact, you're more to blame because you've made that happen. You put your child in that situation to normalize this sort of behavior, which is not normal for children. They do not have the mature development to actually deal with that. They deal with things a different way. They have a magical way of thinking about things. They don't have adult, mature minds. So yes, the government needs to be taken to task on this. I just can't see why parents and caregivers, whatever, are not going to schools together in groups and not standing outside with placards around these government places, in places that they notice to stop the sexualization of our children. I just don't understand that. You adults are the only ones they have to protect them. Their mums, their dads, their granddads, their nanas, their cousins, their friends of the family. We need to do something about it. We can't just keep on letting this happen. Wake up, New Zealand.